Very? Yes, at least turn like this. Yeah, just like that.
I do solemnly swear that I will uphold the bylaws and constitution governing the affairs of the and to also conduct the affairs of my office to the best of my ability, with God being my helper. We declare that you are duly installed. God bless you. Congratulations.
Thank you, Reverend Kaba. So let me just say real quickly.
Good evening, folks. Welcome to today's broadcast. I'm Alfonso Ziensot of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV. We want to welcome all our viewers and listeners across the globe. Thank you. Well, there's a major preparations on the way of a major convention. Despite of COVID-19, the associations of Liberian journalists in the USA is planning a major conventions. A lot of big names will be showcased. Today, I will be speaking with the president of the association, Mr. Joe Mason, and other officials right here on this network in a split second. I'm Alfonso Ziensot of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV. This is a regular edition of Freedom Wise. Stay tuned. I will be right back.
In the morning when I wake up, in the night when I wake up, I will lift up my voice to heaven and give you the highest praise. Hallelujah to my King. Hallelujah to my Father. Hallelujah to my Jesus.
You've worked for months to bring your or your client's event to life, but unfortunately, the world had another plan. In reality, the only thing you lost is the venue. We take your vision for hosting a virtual conference and bring it to life online. No matter how complex your agenda is, we produce a smooth, engaging experience. Call the Liberia Public Radio today and schedule your event. Our number is 682-433-8802. If you prefer to submit your request via email, please send the request to liberiapublicradio2012@gmail.com. Our staff are standing by waiting for your phone call.
All right, well, time is fast spent. Folks, we want to welcome you to this evening. My guest is already here. Let's go to this program here for tonight's editions of Freedom Watch. It's an informative news magazine. Always here on the Liberia Public Radio. That is www.liberiapublicradio.com. I'm Alfonso Ziensot from right here from the New England Bureau. My guest is here is the president of the Associations of Liberian Journalists based here in the USA, veteran journalist, Mr. Joe Mason. The images you saw there, that was the induction ceremony here, just to give you a sense of what this organization is all about. Professional organization, not just a social group, professional organization, and trained men and women that are in this business to hold people accountable. Joining me from Minneapolis, the headquarters of the Alja, is President Joe Mason. Mr. President, good evening.
Good evening, Alfonso. Thank you so much for the invitation to be on here tonight. Look forward to the discussion. Thank you.
Okay, so let's have a little fun here. How is the White House of Alja?
The White House is good. It's good. Everybody is doing fine in the White House. We're good for the guys.
Okay, good. I'm saying that everything the president seems to be, president looks good in health, and that's where we want to go. Okay, Mr. President, thank you for coming on here. In the next coming days and week until this big event here, we will be having this sort of conversation as long as you are available or the planning committee available. We intend to have this sort of conversation. Let's have a little bit talking point here. I know the COVID-19 affect national governments, institutions, organizations. My guess, AJA is no exception to this whole thing here. How is the association so far?
The association is doing pretty well, obviously, because uh, our members live in the United States, which happens to be the epicenter of the coronavirus. Quite a few of our members, at least as far as I know, became sick with the virus. Their family members were also infected, but thankfully, we've not lost any of our member or their relatives to COVID, and for that, we are extremely grateful.
Okay, that's good. Good to hear that. Okay, good to hear that because that's one of the most important thing. At least hearing it from the house's mouth, we will want to really thank God for that. Okay, now let's just let the cat out of the bag here. Time is fast spent. We are hearing Aja now is taking the detour or taking the second talk to make use of the beauty of modern technology to host the convention virtually. Why?
Well, we just talked about COVID, and we talked about the United States being the epicenter of the virus. Obviously, you've been a part of our convention, Afonso. You know that one of the reasons why our convention is attractive to most journalists is because of the camaraderie, of the friendship, of the brotherhood that exists. And so we interact a lot. There's a lot of in-person interaction at our convention. We felt that because of the COVID, that would be virtually impossible. Besides, our convention attracts colleagues and friends from Liberia and other parts of the world. And traveling was very difficult during the heat of the corona. It made it very difficult for people to plan and for people to travel. So we decided that in the interest of protecting the health and the safety of our members and our colleagues who normally will come to our convention, we felt the best thing to do this year was to host a virtual convention. The virtual convention was the alternative uh, to canceling the convention entirely. We felt that our voice as an organization still needed to be heard. And even though we were not meeting in person, we thought that hosting a virtual convention was one way to keep our voice out there.
Okay, I think that sounds good. But I want thing for us to nail the head. The usual traditional Agile conventions usually brings in journalists, the presidents of the president of Liberia, so the delegates coming to be part of the conference. I'm quite sure that is somehow, some way off the table this year, considering the situations ongoing, specifically with the COVID-19.
Precisely. It's not technically off the table. The in-person gathering where the president and president will speak and where other speakers will gather in person is off the table, but because we're doing it virtually, we will still be able to interact
So,
with our
President,
colleagues.
if you can push a little bit on your right hand, should I say right or left hand side? No, on the okay, good, perfect, perfect. Yeah, yes, perfect.
Yeah, so as I was saying, the in-person convention is off the table, but because we're doing it virtually, we'll still will be able to link up with our colleagues in Monrovia and have them participate in the convention. And thankfully, the president of the PUL, Mr. Charles Coffey, has been kind enough to help organize the watch party in Monrovia for us.
Okay, that's good. So, let's get a point here. I believe the memorandum or the circulation has also gone to sister chapters of this union in the diaspora relative to the planned convention. Is that the case?
Precisely, yes. So we won all our chapters, our active chapters to be involved. Currently, we have three active chapters: the Midwest chapter, the Delaware Valley chapter, and the New England chapter. So those three active chapters will obviously be involved in the convention. There are colleagues of ours, members of AJA, who are not attached to any chapter because of the geographical location in which they live in the United States. They will be a part of the convention as well. And then our colleagues who are in Europe, who are in Asia, our colleagues in Liberia, we expect they will all be a part of the convention in some form or shape. Either they will do that via watch parties that the different chapters will hold, and in Monrovia as well, or they will be able to link up with the convention individually once they get the link and the password.
Okay, good. So pretty well, the information seems to be out there, and let's see here. Let's see. Well, I have to make a little cover all here to see here. This is the flyer, just to give a sense of our viewers, those that are listening. AJA 2020 Virtual Convention Team, the media, the rule of law, and the cultures of impunity in Liberia. This is huge.
It is. It is huge. It is huge. I don't know where you want me to start, but let's start with
started whatever way, which direction, whether from bottom to top or top to bottom.
Okay.
It's the ball is in your court to get it started. Which way you want to?
Let's start with the convention team. The convention team this year is the media, the rule of law, and the culture of impunity in Liberia. Why did we decide on that particular team? As an organization, we believe, and I think this is the consensus of most Liberians as well, that the rule of law is a significant cornerstone of our democratic society. Too often, and this happens at every segment of our country, too often our society, we flaunt the laws and there's no accountability. And the resulting consequence, we think, is a breakdown of our institutions. The result is unchecked executive, and the result is the lack of confidence in our judicial system. And the list is endless. This phenomenon, by the way, is not unique to this government alone. It's happening in past governments, and as a country, as citizens, if we do not call this out, it will happen in successive administrations. So our goal at this virtual convention is to bring together a cadre of professionals who will speak to this topic as a way of conscientizing our people on the significance of respecting the rule of law in our country. It's important for us to make progress to become the country that we eventually want to be. It's important for us to develop as a nation, and that's why we thought as an organization we need to speak to this issue.
Okay, let me acknowledge the idea. Ravot of our guest, journalist Jackson T.S. Seaton, is joining this program here this evening. Mr. Seaton, good evening.
How are you, Mr. So?
Okay, good. Good to have you here. It's better late than never. The president I couldn't make that acknowledgement because the president was already speaking out of a courtesy here to do that. Yeah. Okay, but let's please just quickly introduce yourself to my audience, and then we'll get you rolling right into this whole playbook.
Okay, my name is Jackson T.S. Seaton. I am the Delaware Valley chapter president of NECTA. Not NECTA, but Alja. And I'm also the chairman of the 2020 Alja Virtual Convention. Previously in Liberia, I worked as a reporter and news editor with the Inquirer newspaper. I was in the print journalism profession in Liberia. I work on the field. I became a legislative reporter for the Inquirer. I also became executive management reporter before I went to base and became news editor. The last position I held at the Inquirer before migrating to the United States was that of news editor. And when I came, I joined my other colleagues here, and we put Alja together as a way to speak on those national issues that affect our people in Liberia, specifically the rule of law, corruption, the economic advancement of our people, and all of those issues that affects the day-to-day affairs of ordinary Liberians. And I'm proud to be a member of this noble organization that is advancing this cause.
Okay, that's the voice of Mr. Jackson Ty Seaton, who is the chair This year, 2020 conventions are going to be held virtually as I take into consideration sort of the protocols recommended by health authorities and scientists. Okay, well, guys, let's get this conversation. Mr. Chairman, you are here, so we're going to be getting a lot from the House's mouth in terms of preparation and what we should be expecting here. And I think the president was just right out there here. If I can put this here, I won't mind, it can cover me out here. Um, Let's see here, Mr. President and Mr. Chairman. You guys can play the hardball. Anybody can come in here, but I'm seeing some really big names in the media industry, the advocacy industry, and national leaders. I see Madam Caroline Boat, Liberia Feminist Forum, Ambassador George P. Patent, ambassador to the U.S., Madam Limant Bowie, the Nobel laureate, and as well as veteran journalist James Bottit, a Voice of America, formerly of the State Radio. How these elections came to a point, Mr. President and Chairman Seaton?
Well, if you want to be able to proffer ideas, recommendations, and roadmap for achieving the theme on which our convention is being held, then it's only necessary that you bring together people who are professionals who can speak with credibility to the topic you're discussing. And as you rightly said, the individuals you just listed have a wealth of experience in advocacy. The legal luminaries. One of the names who is not on the list that I just want to call out this evening is Councilor Cyril Jones. Councilor Cyril Jones will be one of our speakers. He was the former president of the Liberia National Bar Association. He's currently at the Jones and Jones law firm. He teaches civil procedure and constitutional law at the Louis Arthur Graham School of Law at the University of Liberia. So he's one of those legal luminaries that we are excited to have speak to the constitutionality of the rule of law. You've mentioned Madam Caroline Boa. She's a feminist, she's an activist, and she will speak to the issue now that is dominating the headlines, and that is the issue of rape and sexual violence in our country. You have Mr. James Body, who is the host and the editor of the popular Daybreak Africa program at the Voice of America. You have the ambassador extraordinary and plenipotentiary from Liberia to the United States, Mr. George Parton, who obviously we expect will speak and give the government's position on prevailing issues in the country. And then you have the creme de la creme, they said, Madam Lima Bowie, the 2011 Nobel Prize winner, who was so kind enough to agree to speak at our event as well. So we're really excited about this lineup of speakers who we think will enrich our discussions, and we hope that at the end of the day, we'll be able to draw up a roadmap as a way forward.
Okay, let me break this, Mr. Sita. Mr. Sita?
Yes, let me come in. There are additional individuals whose names were not mentioned by the president. The chairperson of the mass communication department at the University of Liberia will also make remarks at this program. Uriah Toga is going to make remarks at this program. Also, Alja is an offspring from the president of Liberia. So obviously, if Alja is having a convention, the president play a pivotal role. Will play a pivotal role in the convention. So the president of the press union, Mr. Charles Coffey, will also be making remarks at this program. We are anticipating, besides Ambassador Parton, we are anticipating on contacting the press secretary to the president, also Lokebe, who happened to be my former professional colleague at the Inquiry newspaper, to also make a remark at this virtual convention to give the government perspective with respect to the issues that are obtaining in Liberia. And so those are the individuals that we have invited that will be speaking to us and will be discussing those pertinent issues as they relate to the theme of the convention. Now, we will also, in Monrovia, members of the press union and other invited guests will have an opportunity to be a part of this virtual convention through a watch party. And this watch party is going to be at the YMCA building on Broad Street. So they will gather there and they will be a part of this convention. Also, in the United States, the Midwest chapter, that is our colleagues that are in Minnesota, will also gather at a specific location so that they can have a watch party, so that they can also be a part of the virtual convention. And I believe similar plans are being worked out from your end at the New England chapter level. And also we are at the Delaware chapter are working on the modalities to also have a watch party. So these are some of the things that we will be looking at, that we will be doing during our virtual convention.
So if I to get this, usually, Mr. President, you also can come in with this here. From time immemorial, most of the conventions that I've gone to, the GOL, that's the government of Liberia, is usually representative or proxy is always saying either the minister or some higher up from the government. Like the last one, the presidential press secretary was here. Now, with that ambassador to proxy the affairs of the government of Liberia this year, since they're going to be done virtually, or what?
Well, yeah, we believe that the ambassador is adequately suited to speak and put forth the government's position. But like the chairman rightly said, we also intend to formally invite the presidential spokesperson, the press secretary of the president, who also graced our convention last year, to also be a part of what we're doing. So we intend to hear from as many folks in the government as possible, because obviously Alja as an organization seeks to hear from all sides, especially for a team that is as critical as the rule of law and the culture of impunity.
Okay, that's good. So, so how the mass communications department here is coming into this picture here, Mr. Seaton? Do you care to tell us?
Yes, we have invited the chairman of the mass communication department at the University of Liberia to make statement at this occasion. Specifically, he's going to be talking on the issues affecting journalism training in Liberia. He will also be talking about some of those issues that students at the university, those that are in the mass communication department, are facing, and what his department is doing to try to elevate that department to be able to teach some of the latest technology that are evolving in communication. And so those are some of the issues he will be looking at this convention.
And let me just add to that, Alja as an organization seeks not to only work with the PL in Liberia, but we think as at the level of the University of Liberia, we intend to be engaged in what they're doing as well. So it will be an opportunity for us to hear from the chair of the department and find out what the department is engaged in, and to see how Alja can be helpful as an organization.
Okay. Yeah, there are other things we're going to get into here, but let us just do a little bit on this convention here. Now you're going to be done virtually. That does not a staff member like myself, neither you or Mr. Seaton as well, from paying the convention fees, correct?
Well, for this year, we try to relax the convention fee, but that still does not negate the fact that as a member of Alja, you have to pay your annual dues. So the annual dues will stay near your annual dues, And also, we are soliciting, excuse me, we are soliciting uh, voluntary contributions from members to help uh, for us to have the virtual convention. Why it is true, normally during our convention, we charge a fee and you pay this fee plus your membership due. But because we are not meeting physically, we have decided to relax the convention fee.
Hold on right there, Mr. Chairman here. Let the cat eat your own baby, and let me bring in President Mason. I'm finding it difficult to get the true interpretations of the meaning. Relax. During the COVID-19, I just spent pretty close to $3,000 from Aja coffers. We did not relax. We made our contributions and we helped our journalists, whether they were part of Aja or not. And distribution went on well. And we don't even know the endpoint of this year. So what are you saying? Should I not pay my convention fee? Is that what you say?
No. We are not saying, look, the convention is a virtual convention. Fine. So we are not taxing members to pay convention fee. What we are requesting from members is voluntary contribution. Now, that does not negate the fact that every member of AJA, you have to pay your annual dues. So your annual due is different from your convention fee. And because we are not meeting face to face, so we try to relax that part of your due payment. Say, don't pay your convention fee, pay your annual dues, but because this is a virtual convention, we will still incur some cost. And we don't want to burden our members. And we say, look, what you can do here is look in your pocket. If your pocket is deeper, put your hand there, give us something that we will appreciate. If your pocket is not deep, whatever you can give us, we will appreciate that.
Okay, let me wrap the call here around the neck of the president here, because I'm not a guy who always I'm not a liberal guy yet. Look, Mr. President, let me just bring you into this here. It's quite again, I'm quite fascinated. Look, I do not usually what should I use here? Librarians, for the most part, not all, are not used to this your own self-discretion. Okay, let me use my good conscience. Let me use a good judgment to say and do this. But what I do know, the administrative functions of AJA is still working. Yeah. So are we suspending the incoming, the dividends of AJA now because of COVID? Is that what telling me? Should I use my discretion to pay? I can pay my membership due, but should I use my discretion when it comes to convention fee?
Well, let me put it this way. I have the utmost confidence in my membership, like I have in you, Afonso, because I know for a fact that even if the convention fee is not mandatory, if I ask you, Afonso, as a member of AJA to voluntarily contribute, you will. It happened when we raised money to assist our colleagues during the heat of the COVID in Liberia. The amount we raised, well over $3,000, was all voluntary. And because the virtual convention is a new thing for us, we thought we should not impose any restrictions on our members' ability to attend. And one of those restrictions will be having them pay a fee. Obviously, we don't know how many of our members will not be able to pay the fees, but we did not want the payment of fees to be an obstacle to them attending the convention. But we know that given the kind of members we have in AJA, that they will come through voluntarily like they've done in the past. So even though it's not mandatory, I trust my members enough to know that they will come through and contribute to the budget that we have for the convention.
So basically here to nearly here, it is a strategic decisions or positions on the part of the administrations, the planning committee here we understand people been going through tough times. Other people are now working full times, and this COVID has created some sort of economic problem. So let us see reason to prevail and sympathize with our members. That seems to be the direction.
Precisely why having them fully participate in the convention without any hindrance whatsoever. Because I think one of the initial discussion was that if we were to charge a convention fee, only members who pay the convention fee will be granted the access code and the ID number to the convention. We felt that doing that would probably prohibit other members from attending. So yes, it was a strategic decision, and we think that it was a decision that was well thought out because to date, our members are coming through. Many of them are now contributing voluntarily. Some are paying even more than the original fee that we were charging for the convention. So again, like I said, I have the utmost confidence in my members' ability to come through, and I'm sure they will.
Now you have put a lamb in between my tooth and teeth and all here this evening. Okay, Alfonso's not going to be going to convention. That's going to be a huge cost saving. So what else can stop this guy from paying his due? He could even step over the top. Mr. Seaton, are you laughing? That seems to be the case. That's a good strategy, right?
Yeah, that seems to be the case because as the president really stated, we trust the members of AJA. They have supported this organization over the years, and we trust that they will support this virtual convention. And that is the reason why we say, look, we're going to give everybody a break, and we don't want to put any restriction on anybody to attend our convention. And that is the reason why we came up with this idea. And as the president rightly stated, a lot of our colleagues are now making their voluntary contribution, and they are contributing more than what they were actually supposed to pay when we even asked them to say, well, pay a specified fee.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. If I was to give you a classic example, so I think the initial discussion when it came to fees, I think it was around $75 to $100. I've gotten now some of our folks who are paying 2 times that amount. So it just tells you that just asking people to voluntarily contribute sometimes pays dividend.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think that's a very good strategic decision. So it's important people are listening here. Can ordinary Liberians who believes in AJA, who understand what AJA is doing, even though there are a lot of misinformation that's about AJA, that's part of our society that happened. How can one make these contributions besides going to the bank? Is just a cash app, Zelle, or Venmo, or some sort of way? How is this regular convention fee? How is it being paid?
Yes. There are a lot of people. Now that you mentioned it, we are incredibly grateful to a lot of people who are friends of Alja. They are not necessarily members of Alja, but they believe fervently in the cause that Alja stands for, and so they are passionate supporters. They came through again when we raised money to help our colleagues during the COVID, and we expect that they will come through again as well. So we've reached out to some of those friends and partners of Alja, and some of the responses we've gotten so far have been positive. But we will, through social media and other means, inform others out there who want to help, who want to contribute. We'll give them the information, whether it's the bank account number, whether it is contributing to Cash App or Zelle or other means of contribution, so that people know, and if they want to assist, they know how to do so.
Okay, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
You want to add on it?
Oh, yeah. As he rightly stated, we'll be providing the link and the Zelle account, the Cash App account, and the bank account of the organization to anybody who wants to contribute to this convention. I don't know whether if the president, I don't know whether it is prudent for us to post this information in the chat where people can see. I don't know whether that is prudent to you or to the president, but I think that's another way that we can be able to pass out the information to all those who are watching this show and who wants to make contribution towards this convention.
I think if maybe a Cash App number is assigned, probably the president can speak to that, probably because that's something once I made a transaction or somebody you can see instantaneously and be able to react like other people. Because another thing you want to take into consideration is the same health protocols people try to avoid going from the bank, and there's a lot of households involved, standing in a long queue, waiting and all of that. So, Mr. President, is that something you want to speak to?
Yeah, so if there are people who are listening out there and want to contribute, the Alja Cash App handle is the dollar sign Alja as ALJAUSA. So it's dollar sign Alja ALJAUSA. That is our Cash App handle. I think that's the easiest way that most people contribute these days. Obviously, there's the bank account, but if it's kind of prohibitive going to the bank, you can easily contribute by using that Cash App handle. Alternatively, the number you can also contribute to via Cash App is 763-639-9328. That's 763-639-9328. We will be really grateful for anyone out there who feels the need to help us underwrite the cost of this convention. Let me just say something too. Most of the speakers.
Quickly, Mr. President, the Alja-US, is that any space or one word? Alja?
Yes, it's one word. It's one word. USA, yes. Alja, dollar sign Alja USA as one word. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. No, I just wanted to extend our utmost gratitude to all our speakers. Many times, our speakers. I'm sorry. My camera kind of fell up on me. Many times, speakers, such as the caliber of speakers we have coming, charge for speaking fees. We're so grateful to all our speakers who are speaking free of charge, and we want to express to them our deepest thanks and our deepest gratitude. And at the end of the day, we know the reason for which we're doing it is that they want to just contribute to this discourse. They want to move the discussion one step further, because at the end of the day, I think everyone who is a Liberian who cares about the country feels deeply about the rule of law and the culture of impunity that exists in the country.
Okay, all right. So let me just put this number here, and with your authorization, Mr. Chairman and Mr. President, moving forward in our regular broadcast, we're going to get this information out to our followers and Alja members and goodwill Liberians who see reason of what Alja is doing. Again, let me just go over it. It's the dollar sign Alja-USA, or the phone alternative phone number for contribution 763-639-9328 to contribute to Alja 2020 virtual convention. Correct? Those information, are they correct?
They're correct. Thank you so much. They're correct. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to be moving forward. We're going to be be part of our conversation here as well. So, pretty well, my understanding, the context, the nomenclature of the program is that everything going to be done virtually.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And while it is done virtually, it's going to be streamed simultaneously with KMTV, and I think we are also discussing with other media outlets.
LPR, we on LPR. So
we are discussing, including LPR, to broadcast the convention. So it's going to reach a wider population of Liberians in Liberia and outside of Liberia.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good. So how is the momentum so far? And I agree, people are kind of Liberian. We are used to one style way of doing things, meeting in the same hall because we haven't seen for quite a long time. But here we are. Serious health crisis has created a scenario where we have to do things virtually, and that's part of it. What is the reaction so far, Mr. President?
The reaction has been extraordinary. Like you said earlier, there was a lot of skepticism coming into this virtual convention. Obviously, whenever you try something out for the first time, there's this unknown. Not many people have done it before, so there are a lot of pushback, in terms of will we be able to get this thing done right. We understand it hasn't been accomplished, but we're satisfied with the progress we've made. There's been a lot of enthusiasm since we announced the virtual convention, especially since we announced the lineup of our speakers. People are excited to hear from our speakers. So am I. And I know I was at an event today, and someone walked up to me and said, "Well, how can I be a part of this virtual convention? Would I have the password and the ID and the ID and password to be able to log in?" I'm like, no. Obviously, that will be for Aja members and our colleagues who are in different parts of the country. That will be for our invited speakers and other organizations and individuals that we will invite. But anyone who wants to be a part of the virtual convention can tune into KMTV, can tune into LPR as well, and they can follow the convention from start to finish. We intend that it will be a 4 hour event starting at 9 o'clock Central Time, 10 o'clock Eastern Time, 2 o'clock Liberian Time, and hopefully it will be for 4 hour period. We're hoping that we can achieve, everything we want to achieve within that span of time. So, like I said, I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure a lot of people are as well, and I can't wait for the 26th.
Yeah, like you said it, we all in it, and we are doing everything possible, making preparations. It will be broadcast both on our official website, our YouTube page, our Twitter hook, Twitter lines, and of course the LIB Messenger page with a sister network, KMTV, and so that's going to be amazing. So, Mr. Chairman, so what is the most important part of this year conventions? It's in line with a consequential 2017 senatorial elections that have some sort of a relationship in terms of what we do in the media industry, how we get information out. We are coming to convention is coming. You're going to be having GOL officials. You're going to be having some gurus within the media industry going to be speaking. What is the most significant part of this whole convention?
The most significant part of this convention is to highlight some of those issues that are affecting our people in Liberia, especially the issue of rape. Now that the president has declared rape as a national emergency, and we thought on discussing this issue because the culture of impunity has gone for so long in Liberia. It is the culture of impunity that has led to the Civil War. It is the culture of impunity that has led to some of the ills of the Liberian society. And we feel that by speaking to some of these issues, it's going to give some significance to these issues and that people will begin to take corrective measures to ensure that the culture of impunity does not exist in Liberia. Every individual in Liberia has the right to his or her basic freedom. And if somebody infringes on that freedom, that person needs to be prosecuted in keeping with the laws of Liberia. But sadly, that is not happening. You know, some people go scot free, they commit crimes against individual Liberians, and because they are in high places, or because they have some kind of a friend that works in the security apparatus or maybe the legal system, they kind of maneuver their way out. And so the culture just persists. So anybody can do anything to anybody in Liberia and nothing happens. So that is the reason why it is important. And that is the reason why it is important for voters to take note so that when they go to the polls in December, they will elect those people who will fight hard to address some of these issues in Liberia.
So, Mr. President, so let
Like,
me.
if you don't mind me taking that one step further, Alfonso,
Mhm.
I think the theme that we're discussing is so important as we draw closer to elections. And my mind goes back to the recent disturbance in Grand Jita, where opposition leader Ellis Cummings and the representative from Monserrado County were attacked. The rule of law is, and I understand the government has launched an investigation. We're still looking to see what that investigation will lead, and we are hoping that we can get some answers as well. But the rule of law is such a critical factor for the advancement of our democracy because it is rooted in equal rights and accountability. When we strengthen the rule of law, we protect the rights of everyone. We push forward inclusiveness and we limit what has now become the arbitrary exercise of power. These are the cornerstone of our democracy. And people talked about the fact that our country is one of the least developed countries in the world. Look, the rule of law is a prerequisite for sustaining economic growth. When citizens are treated fairly and with dignity and respect, it creates a culture where commerce and business can flourish and grow. When democracy is paired with equal and fair application of the law, it helps our economy most forward because then investors are confident that there are laws in the country that's applicable to everyone. So I think this discussion, this conversation, we are hoping that will begin to ingrain in our minds and our thoughts the need for us as society to continue to ensure that the laws are respected and that we do away with this culture of impunity that persists in our country.
Yes, let me just add a little bit to what the president just said. He talks about the economic aspect of the rule of law. Now, in Liberia, like any other country, the engine of growth for any economy is the private sector. And to build a vibrant private sector in any society, you have to have the rule of law. Because, for example, if an investor wants to invest in Liberia, he has to ensure that his investment will yield dividend. He wants to make sure that his investment is protected under the laws of the country. Now, if those investments are not protected, if the investment will not yield dividend, he's not going to invest. And if he does not invest, what happens? It does not create jobs. And if it does not create jobs, what happens? The people continue to languish in poverty. You see? So the rule of law, it encompasses everything that has to do with the sustainability of any society. You see, the difference between a developed society and a developing society is the rule of law. Because in a developed society, if you go into a contract with somebody and you renege on that contract, the law comes after you to ensure that what? You abide by that contract. Contrary to a developing country like Liberia, if you engage in a contract with another person and you renege on that contract, you go scot-free. So as a result, if an investor wants to go invest in Liberia, he looks at all of these situations before he can make a determination, say, look, yes, I'm going to invest in Liberia. And I'm going to make sure when I invest, my investment should yield dividend, and also my investment must be protected.
Okay, well, time is grabbing. Like I said, we will moving forward up to this program date. We're going to be having this conversation. Now you are here, Mr. President. So let's just tap into this here. There are a lot of talking point out there relative to Alja involvement, not just only Alja, the media industry. Some have been saying the media seems to be playing this one-sided antagonizing the government. I'm not supporters of the government. I don't know specific incidents or evidence of which their argument has been, but people have been saying the media has been more or less very forceful against the government. Is that the case, or what are we missing here?
No, I tend to disagree. I think the media is playing the role is always played in the country. As the fourth estate, and I think like they've done in the past, they continue to do so even today. So it is always the case. The government will always push back against the media. It's always a back and forth. I mean, there's been no government that I know of that will say to you that the media is treating me fairly. I don't know of any government that will say that. So there's always this push and pull between the government and the media. But at the end of the day, I think the media in Liberia is doing a commendable job. We are agile, remain supportive of the role they're playing, and we will continue to do so every step of the way. So no, I disagree. I think the role they're playing now is the role they've always played. And I expect the government to push back on that too.
Is that what you're getting from the government too as well? These sort of talking points from inside of the government? Is that how to see it? Or is it just ordinary people who out there who doesn't understand how it works and the role of the media? stuff like that, or what?
Oh no, 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 no. I mean, obviously, you see by the government's action, the government, they've closed radio stations. They've gone out at journalists over the last several months. Security officers, assaulted journalists in their numbers. So much so that the media had to go on the protest and presented a petition to the government. To this day, we've heard nothing. They set up another committee like they always do, but we've gotten nothing back from the committee's work. So yes, the government is always in the business of accusing the media of being unfair. And like I said again, by their actions, we know that they're pushing back seriously against the media. And obviously, at our level at Aja, that is something we'll continue to push back against as well. Being ever supportive of the media and the work they do.
Mr. Sita?
Yes, one of the provisions of the Liberian Constitution is the guarantee of freedom of expression and the freedom of the press. Now, the media role is watchdog of the society. If the government errs, the media is going to speak to that. If the government does the right thing, the media is going to speak to that. Obviously, the government wants the media to speak to those issues that they are comfortable with. They don't want us to speak the hard truth, but sometimes it is good to speak truth to power.
Gentlemen, how can you guys square out? There are others who are saying, well, for the most part, the opposition did some things, and we do not see the media or maybe AJA or specific institutions within the media industry coming out forcefully against the opposition columns or other opposition members who say some ridiculous or made some comments. Some are saying that. Is that true?
Well, no, I would disagree because I think we've criticized folks in the opposition when there's been a need to, and it's always this folks in the government too, and then people who put the government would make this accusation that people in the media, they're anti-government, or the reportage is mostly anti-government. But Alja has been, at least under my administration, and I believe under the administration of Mr. Senior as well, because I serve as vice president. We've been willing to call a spade a spade. Obviously, because of the role we play, not everybody will whatever release we send out there will always be pros and cons. There will be people who say, okay, you're not. If you criticize, you don't criticize hard enough. If you support, you're not supporting hard enough. So for us, we try to ensure that the role we play is as neutral as possible, and we ensure that we're doing the best job we possibly can do, knowing that most time whatever you do, you lend yourself to criticism. So that is a part of what we do, and we've come to expect it even as we engage in this exercise.
Mr. Sira?
Yes, and one thing we have to understand is that the media and the government, every one of us has a stake in the development and upliftment of Liberia. The media you can divorce the media from Liberia, and you can divorce any sitting government from Liberia. So it's a partnership. So we try to tread the balance. The media is not an enemy of the government, especially AJA. But what AJA seek to do is to speak to those contemporary issues that are unfolding in Liberia. As the president said, if the opposition errs, we speak to those issues. If the government errs, we speak to those issues. So we are trying to it's almost like a balancing act that we are trying to do. But again, there will always be criticism. When we speak out, people will say, well, we didn't speak out forcefully. When we don't speak out, others say we are not speaking out. So you see, we try to tread this line. It's a balancing act. Yeah. It's a balancing act that we are trying to fill. And sometimes it's challenging,
Sometimes and let me also say too, Alfonso, I mean, to say that, the media, even, within the president of Liberia, they will admit to you, and I will admit as well, there's always some bad apples. There are always folks in the media who will compromise their integrity, who will report in a manner and form that doesn't represent the profession. But I think those are the exceptions, and to a large extent, the majority of folks in the profession, have executed their reportorial work to the best of their ability, and I think they're making significant contribution to the peace and stability of our country.
So we are wrapping up, and like I said, we're going to do that, but I can let you go, Mr. President, especially to speak out on this assistance, the contributions also here, because all the talking point out there, Aja, they're not doing anything. And unfortunately, people do not tend to seek to get the rightful information. The conspiracy theories, the innuendos, everything is out there. Whatever little thing people grab out, they run with it. But Aja was a major intervention to their colleagues, even people who are members or who are not members. They were direct beneficiaries. Tell us a little bit about that. COVID interventions on the part of Aja.
Well, thank you. When the epidemic began, and we realized that Liberia was in a virtual lockdown as well, as a result of the virus. One of the things that occurred to us, and when we spoke to our colleagues on the ground, was that just getting food, basic necessity, was getting incredibly difficult. And so we came together as an organization because, mind you, folks on this side was going through difficulty as well. But as much difficulties that we were going through, we realized that we, as individuals, as an organization, were still in an advantageous position to be able to help. And so when we asked for what the needs were, we were told that food was the immediate need. And so we called upon our members and our friends, and they were very supportive and were able to make contributions to our colleagues. Well over $3,000 in food, and I think in max that we're able to get. They were very, very appreciative, because I think the distribution went across all sectors of the media, from the different auxiliary to other individuals as well. So I think they were very appreciative, and hopefully that is something, should the need arise again, that AJA will continue to meet in the future. Obviously, there are a lot we want to accomplish, at least on this administration, when it comes to our colleagues, beyond just meeting, those material needs. Unfortunately, the COVID has made it difficult, if not impossible, for us to be able to realize some of the goals and objectives that we set for ourselves when we're elected. But we're hoping that things settle down, we can begin moving forward with some of the plans that we have for our colleagues in Liberia.
Yeah, so before Mr. Sita comes in here, I believe not only Aja members were direct beneficiary, it was strictly across the board, right?
No. As a matter of fact, folks in Aja did not benefit at all. The contribution went directly to our colleagues in Liberia. And our colleagues in Liberia are not, by virtue of the fact that they do not live in the United States, are not members of Alja. So the contribution was entirely for our colleagues in Liberia, not Alja members.
Okay. I just want to get that. Mr. Sita?
Yes, as the president rightly stated, we want to do more. We are looking at the idea of providing some training for our colleagues in Liberia. And mind you, when we were back home, working those beats as journalists on the field, we faced enormous challenges. And those challenges still exist in Liberia.
Probably they have intensified.
They have intensified. You understand? And so we know that. And that is the reason why, besides advocating, we are also looking at other avenues where we can assist our colleagues in Liberia. Be it training, be it material support, be it logistical support. we are looking at all of those things. And as the president rightly stated, COVID caught everybody off guard. But we are hopeful as things become to open up that we will start looking at those things and those issues that we want to address, that those issues and those challenges that are affecting our colleagues that we hope to address, we will be looking at them.
Okay, well, and especially with the training aspect, that because I think that would be a long-term goal, and I think that would be a good thing in the direction. And but people also need to understand the media, and one of the reasons, the challenges here, and you can speak to them, Mr. President. We have private-owned, different sorts of media industry. Some pro-government, some pro-opposition. So those are institutions that Alja, either not the press unions of Liberia, do not have control over these institutions, which is a challenge in itself. But unfortunately, everybody's been put into the basket of deplorable to say, this is what the media folks are doing. So that's a challenge, Mr. President.
It is, and I say to folks that when I practice in Liberia, I think Mr. Seaton and bear me witness, we could literally count the number of media institutions on my two hands. There are probably 2 or 3 television stations, a few radio stations, and newspapers. At the moment, and when I was in Liberia last August, I think the statistics is that we had well over 100 radio stations. We got close to 30 some of newspapers, and pretty close to 15, 20, and 20 television stations. These are numbers I'm just, and I stand corrected on some of these numbers as well. But it tells you the challenge. We got these different media institutions, but we don't have the qualified individuals to work at these different institutions. So many times, individuals who are working these institutions do not go through the rudiment, do not go through the training required to prepare them adequately to be able to do the job. So, some of the terrible reporting you hear sometimes, some of the compromise reporting you hear sometimes, it's a consequence of some of these issues. So, there have been a lot of different training opportunities that have been provided to these journalists. We're saying now, where we can be most impactful as an organization, as opposed to just, doing another training. What is the strategic way that AGA can be most impactful when it comes to helping to augment the skills of our colleagues in the country? So we're looking at that as well. We've been, thanks to the Alja Human Resource and Development Committee, we've been heavily engaged in planning in terms of what is it that we can accomplish in Liberia. Right now, we are partnering with the University of Minnesota for State Department grant that we're working on right now as an organization. We're really excited about that because these are partnerships that when we build, we think can benefit our colleagues in the country as well. So we're strengthening relationships with institutions, media institutions, because we're specifically working with the Herbert Institute of Journalism here at the University of Minnesota. If we continue to build these institutions, we think they can pay dividend for what we want to do for our colleagues in Liberia as well. So there are a lot of plans that we're working on, and we're hoping that, of course, like I said, this COVID that we least expected, has thrown a monkey wrench in the plans that we have. But we're hoping that, eventually our plans will come together and we can begin to make the impact that we think as an organization we can make in Liberia.
Okay, you want to speak to that, Mr. Seaton, before we wrap up?
Yes, I just want to make one quick comment. And the president rightly stated there is proliferation of media institutions in Liberia. And looking at the population of Liberia, it is, we understand that these are all private ventures. And, everybody wants to have a radio station, everybody wants to have a TV station, and everybody wants to have a newspaper. But one thing I've always said is privately is that there's a need for all of these private ventures to see reason to form partnership. Because if they form partnership, they have more leverage. Because if one person has a newspaper Back in the days when we were back home on the field, we had some media institution that was literally in somebody's briefcase. I'll be honest with you. A whole media institution is in somebody's briefcase. To even come out the newsstand, they have to literally take their newsprint maybe to a benefactor, and the benefactor provides the money, and before they come on the newsstand. Hey, if you have this idea, you have this talent, why you can't partner with another person of like minds,
Right.
so that you guys can have leverage? You understand? I think if the media, if the private ventures, if they start looking in that direction of forming partnership, a lot of the problems that the media face in Liberia will gradually become to minimize. Because in that way now people will become more professional. There will be more training, because once you have that leverage, maybe three media institutions put together and they form one bigger media institution, they have a lot of resources that they can pull and do a lot of stuff that they want to do.
Yep.
Yeah,
Oh.
no, I agree, and I think to Jackson's point, one of the issues that confront our colleagues in Liberia, especially those who work in the media, is the fact that they're underpaid. They're underpaid, and the income that they take home is not enough to be able to provide some of the basic things they need. And in the absence of that, if folks are getting income that doesn't cater to them and their family, the tendency is for them to find other ways, whether legally or illegally, to make the extra income. And that is an issue that is affecting the media as well. And, the point he made, as an organization too, I know that's one of the things that our colleagues, has asked us to push for, to make sure to bring some pressure to bear on publishers and owners of media institutions to improve the incentives and the funds and the payment they give to the employees. So that is something that we will continue to look into as well.
Okay, well, gentlemen, I know it's 10:06 Eastern Standard Time, but like I said, we're going to be, there was other meetings were ongoing for which we came on late. But we will try as much as possible as time becomes available, 10, 15, 20 minutes in during even our program. So what are the planning committee chairperson or any of the committee members? They are always welcome to chip in to give us updates and tell the general public. But before we wrap up here, what is the most takeaway here this evening, gentlemen?
President, go first.
Well, just to reemphasize the convention that we have coming up. Again, we want to encourage our folks who are out there to tune in to KMTV and LPR and other networks that will carry the convention. We're excited about it. We're excited about our speakers. Let me also add that we intend to doing the virtual convention honored a number of journalists for their services, their invaluable services that they've rendered to the profession and the country over the course of their journalism career. That is one thing we'll do as well. We think we need to honor people to whom honor is due, and that is something we will do. So it's going to be a really busy 26th of September, 4-hour event that we hope at the end of the day can enlighten the discourse, can help inform us as Liberians in terms of the need as a country for us to continue to push for the respect for the rule of law and to ensure that impunity is not allowed, is not condoned in our country.
Your speech is completed, Mr. President? You're going to be speaking. Have you wrap up your speech? What are you going to be telling delegates?
Well, it will not be a speech because this is not a typical convention. It will not be a speech. So I'll tend to call it a remark, not a speech.
A remark. But it's been written on paper.
Yeah, so I will have something on paper. Yes, yes, but I might say it from my head too. I don't know.
And a sneak peek of that or not yet?
No, not yet.
Okay, all right. Hopefully, we will get a sense of why it is, and that we hope to be doing this here. And I think I said this before I go back to the chairman. But this land too is so crazy busy. But it's unfortunate a lot of people don't know the work of Aja and the things Aja has been doing, how Aja's intervention during this COVID-19 beneficiaries, people who are not even members of Aja, which of course there were several meetings that were held, people agree, people disagree, and those opinions were expressed, but ultimately the administrations and the entire body came together and say, you know what, this is what we're supposed to do. I think we need to be having this here. As I said this, and I'm going to capitalize on this time again, to probably, if that once a month, to see, because it's like, when people don't hear, and they don't hear directly from the house's mouth what they tend to hear back door, that's what they believe in, and they just think that's it, and they push it out there. They're not even doing nothing. And I'm quite sure this is the first time other people, except people who are Aja members or friends of Aja, that know that Aja's also made an over 300 some thousand. That's a lot. And so I think these narratives need to be pushed out there as well. People need to know it. Not that when you do good, you talk it, but it is. The institution is working. The administration is working. It is important that people get these stories. Mr. Sita, am I going wrong here?
No, you are not going wrong. You see, we are all excited about this convention and the fact that we continue to have these dialogues with respect to the culture of impunity and the rule of law. We all know that we experienced a civil crisis in Liberia. There was a TRC report. The recommendations from the TRC report was never implemented. Now there is this new push to implement the recommendations of the TRC report, because the TRC reports also talk about the culture of impunity in Liberia. And we believe that if the culture of impunity is addressed, a lot of the things that are happening in Liberia will not happen. Quite frankly, and I know many Liberians tell me, say, well, these people are Liberians. Well, how can somebody who is accused of committing some kind of a crime during the Liberian Civil War turn out to be a lawmaker in the country?
That's quite interesting.
It's interesting. It is. But when you ask some of these hard questions, people say, oh, they are Liberians. But again, it's because of the culture of impunity.
Okay.
So that's why it is good that we keep this discussion open, so that at the end of the day, we will be able to address all of these issues, and that maybe one day our country will be able to move forward.
Okay, well, gentlemen, time has catch up with me here this event. I want to thank you so much. I want to thank you so much for being part of this conversation here. And again, we're going to keep having this sort of conversation. President Mason, Mr. Seaton, the chairpersons of 2020 Aja Convention, virtual convention, if you will, to attach that in order to be satisfied, we will. Guys, I want to thank you so much, and we're looking forward. We're going to do everything possible we can as well to form part of that program and bring it to our people virtually, remotely, whatever they are, that we are all in this, all we want to do the good of Liberia. Guys, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alfonso. We greatly appreciate it. And, obviously, as a member of Aja too, we know we can count on your support. Thank you for doing this. And we look forward to coming back to continue to talk about, like you said, not just everything else.
Hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah.
All right, folks, that does it this evening, Sunday evening here. Time checking the East Coast. Yes, it's 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm Alfonso Zienso at the New England Bureau. To our viewers and listeners, I want to thank you so much for being part of this program.
Give me the heart, yeah. In the morning when I wake up, in the night when I wake up, I will lift up my voice to heaven and give you the highest praise. Hallelujah to my King.
want to give in higher praise whatever we at. Folks, let's just keep our country in prayer to every time, to whether you are opposition to impositions or your government or whatever it is for the good of our countries. Let's keep our country in prayer.
You never, never change. You never, never lie. You never, never change. You never, never fail. Hallelujah to my Jesus. Hallelujah. 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 Hey, hey.
This is something by Liberian gospel artist, the Coin Joseph Bass. New release here. I want to say thank you to him.
Give him the highest praise. Hallelujah.
We are hearing that the Minister of Popular Works of the Republic of Liberia, Minister Mabutu Nyimpa, is doing considerable well and responding, according to family sources, telling the Liberia Public Radio, currently getting treatment from neighboring Ghana, Republic of Ghana, and neighbor to Liberia.
Jehovah, come and worship Jehovah. It deserves the praising. Come the praising. It deserves everything. Oh, the worshiping. Oh, he gave me life. I will praise his name. I'm here to praise my God, oh, because he gave me life. Come celebrate. Come jubilate. Come and worship him. He deserves the praise.
All right.
Hallelujah.
That's how we're going to draw the curtain down here this evening, 10:17 Eastern Standard Time. I'm Alfonso Z and Salt of the Liberia Public Radio, 10 LPR TV. We want to thank you so much. It was a kind of little tight weekend, and so hopefully in the coming days, a week, I tune into LPR for more fascinating programs. We're going to be taking some hardcore discussion. Our invitation is out there to a lot of stakeholders, and as soon we get confirmation from them, we'll also bring them here to have these sort of conversations, hardball conversation. That's the flyer there, the Association of Liberian Journalists, virtual conventions, speakers, and like you heard the president and the program committee chairperson, there are a lot of speakers, but tap on this list here, we see Madam Caroline Tabowe, Liberia Feminist Forum, Ambassador George Patent, Liberia Ambassador to the US here. You have Madam Limant Buit, the Nobel laureate, and of course, journalist James Botti, formerly of the State Radio, now Voice of America at Daybreak. They're going to be all of the speakers. Comes this virtual conventions at associations of Liberian journalists based here in the USA. I want to say thank you to President Joe Mason, the Executive Committee, the Board of Directors, and the entire membership of AJA for the timely interventions as humanitarian intervention during the heat of COVID-19. Over $3,000 worth of assorted medical and other assistance were given to immediate institutions, not necessarily members of AJA. That was good on the part of the administration. We want to say thank you so much, President Mason, and your able to working staff. If you want to contribute, you can also do that moving forward in our subsequent programs. We're going to be putting the number out there, the cash out number, the number signed, so that you want to make a contribution, you can also do that. Until then, it's 10:19 Eastern Standard Time. I'm Alfonso Z and Salt of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV, New England Bureau Desk. I want to thank you so much for being part of this program. If you are in the business field, you are having a conventions, and you're looking for people to advertise your business, just do it. Let us know it, and we have the ability to do that. Until then, have a pleasant evening. Amen. Somebody walking in so late. It better late than never. Thank you so much. Have a pleasant time. Bye-bye.
You've worked for months to bring your or your client's event to life, but unfortunately, the world had another plan. In reality, the only thing you lost is the venue. We take your vision for hosting a virtual conference and bring it to life online. No matter how complex your agenda is, we produce a smooth, engaging experience. Call the Liberia Public Radio today and schedule your event. Our number is 682-433-8802. If you prefer to submit your request via email, please send the request to liberiapublicradio2012@gmail.com. Our staff are standing by waiting for your phone call. A life so beautifully lived deserves to be beautifully remembered. This is to announce the traditional wake-keeping and funeral service of the late Chief Crazy Sarto, former General Town Chief of Crazon Clan and Chief Elder of Crazon Chiefdom of the Bison Statutory District, Grand Gade County, Republic of Liberia, who died on January 27, 2020 at his daughter resident in Thinker Village, surrounded by his children and grandchildren. The body of the late Chief Crazy Sarto will be removed on December 15, 2020 at the Samuel Stryker Funeral Home in Sincor and will be taken to his daughter home in Thinkers Village for a night of wake-keeping. The body will then be taken to Duaji Town, Grand Gade County for 3 days of traditional wake-keeping. Funeral service will be on Saturday, December 19, 2020 at the Assembly of God Church in Duaji Town. The remains will be laid to rest at the family cemetery in Duaji Town. Repast follow at the family compound in Duaji Town. The traditional aspect of the late Chief Crazy Sarto life celebration will be the Kron artists performing lives making their present felt will be the Watsiato of Claude Romy and Blade Mary, Poimile Group of the Ivory Coast, Sumu Club of the Ivory Coast, Kron International Artists Play Franco, Jefferson DK Nyangbe, Eric Duo, Chablo and Tour, Juice Sandy, Saba J, Festus D. Carr, Sea Levels and the gospel artist Ezekiel Wright. This announcement was signed by Nathaniel Craig, son of the deceased.